Al Pacino, the man behind Hollywood's most iconic roles, has kept much of his personal life hidden from public view, until now. At 85, whispers have emerged that one of his daughters is unveiling a secret from his past, a revelation that sheds new light on the enigmatic actor we thought we knew. With such a private and guarded life, what could be so compelling that even Pacino's own family couldn't stay silent any longer? The untold story behind the man. From his film-stealing roles in The Godfather to Scarface, he has played men like himself, smoldering with mystery. In real life, Al Pacino, who is over 80 today, is an elusive figure, a famous man who opted for privacy instead of publicity. A peek into his life reveals that his fame, as select and careful as it was, his personal life was as interesting as the characters he portrayed. Now, as he enters his golden years, it is his family, most especially his children, who have the keys to unlock the man beneath the characters. Julie Pacino is his eldest daughter, herself an accomplished filmmaker, often hinting at her father's influence being both personal and professional. What does she know that the rest of the public does not? Why now, after so many years, does it suddenly appear crucially important to her to reveal the hidden side of her father? As Pacino himself has let on, fatherhood transformed him profoundly. One time he described his pre-child life as walking around in his own head, where acting was everything. And when his children came along, they became the center of his life, and he started splitting his time between coasts, working around their needs. Could this be what drove him to keep parts of his life so deeply under wraps? The truth of Al Pacino's life, especially the depth of what he has held back, is twisty as any movie he has ever starred in, and Julie Pacino's revelation may provide that unforeseen turn that this journey has taken. This is a promise of peeling away the complex layers of a man who has given everything on screen but has held back so much off it. Is it a story of frailty, of family ties stretched to their limits by fame? Or maybe something more sinister, not even Hollywood could have scripted? Now let's delve into this secret and find out what Al Pacino's own daughter feels compelled to share about the man Hollywood could never fully know. The suspense is racing, begging the question, are we prepared to see a side of Al Pacino that has been hiding, perhaps intentionally, all along? The revelation that left Hollywood speechless. His own daughter speaks out. Al Pacino has always been notoriously tight-lipped, but it's his own daughter that's broken that silence now, showing a side of the legendary actor which nobody knew. Picture being brought up by one of the most legendary figures in Hollywood, a man whose name only evokes thoughts of power, an intensity that can be intimidating, and mastery across the big screen. But to his daughter, he is only dad vulnerable, full of secrets and untold stories that not even fame could shield from being dug up. And with one brave revelation, she pulled a curtain back on one of the most hidden chapters in his life that has left Hollywood abuzz with intrigue. What had Al Pacino, who is so open on screen, been keeping from the world? The revelation from his daughter delves much more deeply than mere gossip or scandal, treading deep into the core of Pacino's life and exposing emotions and experience that were hidden from even those closest to him. This is not some fame or fortune. It is some deep personal truth that he felt he couldn't share with the world. So why did he keep this secret buried? And why does his daughter choose now, in this moment, to bring it into the light? The questions dangle in the air, drawing fans into a mystery that's as captivating as any film plot. We first have to look at the relationship between Pacino and his daughter to understand the gravity of her revelation. Despite his larger-than-life persona on screen, Al has always managed to keep his relationship with his children a bundle of tenderness, backed by fierce protectiveness. Time and again during various interviews, one would hear him speak of how the birth of his children made him bring into play a different side of his personality, one more docile, which starkly contrasts with the hard personas he's known to play. So his daughter's insight isn't an exposé, but an act of love, a way of sharing a part of her father with the world, one that is rarely seen and perhaps misconstrued. There is more to be said for the timing of her revelation, At 85, Pacino's legacy is firmly established. His place in Hollywood is secure. So why now? Is there something about this stage of his life, perhaps a need to set the record straight, or to unburden himself from the weight of secrecy, that makes this revelation necessary? It is a question adding yet another layer of intrigue, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats and wondering what more Pacino's life story might hold. Besides letting out a secret, in this revelation, Al's daughter is giving a peek at the person behind the aura besides what most think of him. It would appear that all these years we are only shown parts of Pacino, while the others are kept under wraps and reserved for a very select few. Now that she had come forward, it would be as if she were opening the door to a part of him that the world of his fans never expected to see. What does this revelation mean for his legacy? How will it reshape the way in which the world reflects on one of its most adored stars? Her words sent ripples through Hollywood, with speculations and discussions of what more the actor may be keeping up his sleeve. To the idolizing fans, that is a reminder that even legends have their shadows, quiet battles, and the stories that remain untold, until, of course, someone close enough comes along to tell them. The secrecy surrounding Pacino is not all for show and tell. It is what makes him so appealing, so mysterious. It has made Al Pacino's life a mystery, like the plot of a movie that has waited several years for the climax. While this sinks into the minds of fans, one question still begs an answer. What else may Al Pacino be hiding? And could this new moment in time spur him to reveal more of himself, possibly to his staunchest of fans? Well, tune in, because the story behind the story has just begun. The life Al Pacino kept away from the spotlight. Al Pacino is as much a mystery off camera as he is a legend on. With the blow-up roles and legendary monologues having to do with his name, you would have thought his life would be just that dramatic and intense, like all the characters he portrayed. But he's also a master at keeping his world private off-camera, so guarded that even those closest to him saw only what he wanted them to. He has always been a private man, and not even his family ever entirely penetrated the fortress of his private life. In a world where the stars put their lives in full view, Pacino drew a line very few have dared blur between his art and reality. It's only now, with new revelations courtesy of his daughter, that fans get a glimpse of the man behind the curtain and spark a fascination with what he's kept hidden all these years. Decades have passed, yet Pacino has also had his struggles known by everybody, but he has never been in a mood to tell the complete story. To the public, he is an enigma 1 minute playing some of the most violent, complex characters in the history of film, the next slipping away from the public eye, living quietly. He said once in interviews he found fame overwhelming, a blessing and a curse, he called it, one that oftentimes had him feeling trapped in a persona that didn't quite fit. This conflicted relationship with stardom does seem to point at something deeper. Why then did he choose a profession that catapulted him into a spotlight, which he so actively shunned off-screen? Fans have always been home to many speculations as to the parts of his life he chose not to share. Seldom did Pacino attend Hollywood parties. He tried not to go on red carpets unless he had to. He'd become fabled for his disappearing act between projects, for the long stretches taken off from acting until a role would call to him. It was part of his mystique, the missing link in the chain of him that kept him as intriguing as ever. What kind of life did he lead when the cameras weren't rolling, and what drove him to retreat from the public, even as his star rose to its peak? For some, he is a private person because of the impoverished life he had as a child in East Harlem. Pacino was born into a humble home with separated parents. He was raised by his single mother and grandparents outside the glittering spotlights of Hollywood. Considering his background, along with pressures of fame, might allow him to foster a need for privacy, a desire to leave parts of himself untainted by the industry that turned him into an icon. In that respect, the selectivity to the spotlight was Pacino's mechanism for preserving parts of himself that still belonged to the man Alfredo James Pacino, not the Hollywood legend Al Pacino. Further adding to his mystique is the way Pacino approaches relationships. never marrying despite high-profile romances with women such as Diane Keaton and Beverly D'Angelo. In interviews, he has talked about his wariness of commitment, a reluctance that only serves to deepen the mystery. What is it about his life that made him so hesitant to take that step? How did that play into his role as a father, with his daughter now coming out with some sort of revelation about him? Even his family life, which one would imagine would at least be partially unshielded, seemed to have been crafted to protect him from prying eyes. Pacino's fans now, of course, wondered whether the reclusive lifestyle was compelled by necessity or by choice. Was he stepping back intentionally to retain control of his life, or was it to save those around him from the intrusive public eye? Each and every one of these points seems to insinuate what he gave up for this privilege of privacy. The interesting thing is how these choices make his legacy all that more interesting and in strong contrast to the unfiltered characters he would portray on screen. Compared to raw, open roles like these, the guarded reality of Pacino would thus appear a deliberate contradiction, one that only whets our appetite to know more about this man. But however deeper these levels may go, more complex does the life of Pacino become. For beneath all his fame, it reveals a man never lost to his autonomy. With the bombshell revelations his daughter brought forward, the public is just now starting to view the man behind this icon in an entirely different light. What else may come about this legend of Hollywood, living as colorfully as the characters portrayed? The story has only just begun to unfold, crafting the man we thought we knew. Al Pacino has become synonymous with the golden age of Hollywood. His iconic portrayals, Michael Corleone, Tony Montana, and so many others, are inextricably woven into the very fabric of American popular culture. But as you go a little deeper, a strange duality starts to emerge. The man who seemed to pour his whole self into his parts was, in actuality, one of the most secretive actors in the business. Fans who thought they knew Al through his work are now realizing that they only scratched the surface of a very complex, private man. What made him draw such a strong line between the public persona and the private individual? More importantly, what lay behind that line that he was concealing? It's almost as if his whole life has been one long act, a carefully crafted character meant to keep everyone at a distance. Industry insiders in Hollywood always refer to Pacino as an actor's actor, a man who took his craft so seriously that his very identity seemed to merge with the characters he played. For years, fans assumed it was just an extension of his artistry when he demonstrated intense commitment to his roles. But with his daughter's revelation, people are starting to wonder if there's more to the story. Could it be that Pacino was hiding parts of himself in plain sight, letting pieces of his true self seep into his roles while keeping the rest locked away? This tantalizing thought has sparked new discussions about what it really means to know a public figure and whether we've ever truly known Pacino at all. Imagine the toll that must take on a person. Spending decades bringing to life some of cinema's most tormented, complex characters and keeping your own struggles locked away tight can't help but put a strain on your emotions. And yet, outwardly, Pacino did it all with such a stoic grace that he gave fans what they wanted and nothing more. Now, as his daughter sheds light on his hidden life, we're forced to confront the possibility that Pacino's greatest performance was the one he's been staging for decades: Al Pacino, the untouchable Hollywood icon. It's a role that left no room for vulnerability, and it's one he seems to have played to perfection. But the question that remains is, why? Why go to such great extremes to keep the real Al Pacino from the public eye? For some, the answer lies in his upbringing. Raised by his single mother in one of those tough New York neighborhoods, Pacino learned early on the value of self-preservation and the dangers of vulnerability. Hollywood had given him fame, but it hadn't changed his basic beliefs, beliefs that came from a well of survival, resilience, and control. He wasn't going to let the world in, not now, especially when he had ridden high on fame and accolades. But as we scratch beneath the surface, we find that Pacino's public life was a string of calculated moves, each designed to build a certain image while keeping his real personal life safely tucked away. Even in his rare interviews, he doled out just enough to keep the mystique going without ever crossing the line into true transparency. His fans were left to piece together fragments, believing they were seeing the real Al Pacino when, in reality, they were seeing a version of him that he wanted them to see. Now, with this new revelation, fans are left to question everything as Hollywood reels from the finely shifting image of one of its giants. But this shocking realization brings us to another question. If Al Pacino, a man who has seemingly given everything to his craft, could keep such a monumental part of himself hidden, what other secrets are locked away in Hollywood? Might his daughter's revelation inspire other industry icons to begin peeling back the layers they've built around themselves? For Pacino, this unmasking would seem to have come at just the right moment, an opportunity to set the record straight and throw the world open, if only by a fraction. His journey is far from over, and the latest chapter is proving to be one of his most intriguing yet. The unseen struggles, fame, family, and the price of privacy. When one thinks of Al Pacino, the words that would more aptly come to mind are resilience, strength, and an amazing commitment to his craft. But it's a long way behind the scenes, where the real Pacino was quietly battling with problems that would challenge even the most steadfast among us. Fame comes with a price, we know, and for Pacino, the cost has been the near-constant tension between his public and private lives. All the while he was redefining acting on the silver screen, he fought a lifelong battle to protect his privacy and shield his loved ones from the relentless scrutiny of Hollywood. Now, with his daughter's revelation, that tightly controlled balance has been disrupted, pulling back the curtain on a life that many thought was perfectly curated. But the pressures of fame affected Pacino in ways that fans could only guess. Over the years, he's dropped hints at what his career has cost him, suggesting in only a handful of interviews that the demands of Hollywood have allowed him little space for anything but professional life. The irony is that for a man who spent his life becoming different people, his own identity became one of his best-kept secrets. It is only when his daughter talks that one finally brings to light the fact that always beneath the surface of even the most glamorous life lurks problems. What is the personal toll on a person who keeps so much hidden for so long? And just how did those well-hidden struggles come to define his career choices and the life he would lead? As it happens, family has always been at the epicenter of Pacino's private world. Instead of emulating many of his Hollywood contemporaries and settling down, he chose to immerse himself in being a father, while trying his best to avoid the intrusive light of the public eye. He has been anchored by his children in a way that gives him some sense of stability and normalcy that can never be found in the film industry. But keeping them out of the public eye, Pacino has inadvertently created a mystique around his family life, one that his daughter's revelation now brings into the spotlight. How strong the bonding with his kids must be, especially with his daughter. She is not just telling the world about her father. She is honoring him by sharing a piece of the man that was never allowed out to the fans. Her revelation raises questions about the choices made by Pacino, specifically, his choice to cleave his public life from his private one so rigorously. Was it to protect his children, or was it also a way of protecting himself from the vulnerabilities that come with fame? It speaks much about Pacino's character and his family, and the measures he would have taken to keep things private as much as possible. Pacino put up a wall in that world where everybody's always prying, one that, for years, seemed unbreakable. Now, with his daughter breaking that silence, the public is left with both admiration and a mix of curiosity. We honor Pacino for the sacrifices he made to protect his private life, while at the same time, we want to know more. What else has he kept hidden? How much of that secrecy has affected the very roles that made him a legend? The revelation is not just a peep into Pacino's life, but rather an insight into the sacrifices that come with fame and staying in the limelight, especially in times when privacy is so hard to come by. In considering Pacino's journey, it would appear that his struggles are not unique. They are a mirror of so many stars who have had to negotiate the confusing intersection of fame, family, and personal identity. But Pacino's tale, brought to light by his daughter, resonates more because of who he is, a man who spent his life bringing complex characters to life while keeping his own story close to his chest. Now, as Hollywood and fans absorb this revelation, the legend of Al Pacino grows even richer, more nuanced, and more compelling. And the question that remains is, how many more secrets are yet to be exposed? Al Pacino's legacy is one of profound impact and mystery. His daughter's revelations have opened a new chapter, giving us a glimpse of the man behind the roles that defined an era. With this insight into his private world, fans may now view his career and the choices he made on and off screen with deeper appreciation. But as we marvel at these new layers of his story, one question remains: could there still be more to discover about this Hollywood icon? Well, that's what we are here for, to keep you up to date with new developments, and that's why you need to subscribe. Hit that like button down there, and be sure to comment also. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.